For my fourth example of recolor artwork, I'm going to use this scenario of a transparent logo that we need to reproduce in spot color. So we need to make this into a two-color logo. One of those two colors is the black of the type. So that leaves us one color and tints of that color to reproduce the symbol. Currently, if we look at the transparency panel, we can see that these different tints of green are achieved through the color burn blending mode. But if I move any one of those petals away, we can see that it's actually just a single color. I'm using color burn as opposed to multiply, just because I felt that color burn gives me three distinct greens, and if we use multiply, that gives us four colors, but there's not much distinction between them. So that's the reason I've gone with color burn as my starting point. But we cannot reliably reproduce transparency using spot colors. So we need to, first of all, jump through some hoops here. And the first of those hoops is we make a copy of the logo and we rasterize it. Having done that, I'm then going to come and create an object mosaic using 5 by 5 tiles, which will give me that result, which is quite interesting in and of itself. I'm now going to make that object mosaic into a color group using the selected artwork, and I'm going to convert the process to global. We now have a color group of 5 colors. One of those is white. We don't need that, so we can remove that. And these two greens are very similar, so I'm going to remove one of them. So that leaves us with just 3. Now I'm going to come to my logo, which I will make a copy of so that we can compare. And I'll work on the top copy, just on the symbol. I'll use the live paint bucket and then make this into a live paint group. Now we get a warning message telling us that, amongst other things, transparency is going to be lost when we convert it to a live paint group. Okay, we're aware of that, but thanks for letting us know. So I'll come to my color group, choose that dark green color, and it's useful to have both open here because we can use one as a visual reference for how we're going to apply these colors. So there's the darker green, and then the intermediate green, and then the lighter green is already applied to the outside portions of those petals. So we now have distinct colors applied to distinct segments. I want to expand that. Here's where the recolor artwork comes in. So current colors 3. We only have one color. So I need to map these 2 lighter greens to the darker green. The darker color has to take precedence because that is going to be the color at 100%. So we need some room from which we can scale down. So I'm going to drag both of those onto there, and you'll see that currently we are scaling tints, and that's the result that we get. And that is fine. Maybe that's as good as we can get, but we can also double click on the color and change the color. Now, when I was practicing earlier, the color that I came up with was this, 78, 196, 24 for the RGB values respectively. So these 2 lighter greens will now become a tint of that darker green. And then over here where it says none, we need to come to our color books, Pantone solid coated. We'll click OK. And there on our swatches panel, we now have our one Pantone color, Pantone 360. Let's just open up our color panel. So there we see Pantone 360 applied at 100%, at 68%, and at 46%. Now we may decide that we want to edit it further from there just to make a bit more distinction. So I think these intermediate greens, I'll select all of those, and I'm going to make that 50%. No, that seems to be too light. Let's go with 60% there. And then the lighter greens, I'm going to make 35%. So as I warned you, the colors do look different, but keep in mind, this is based upon multiple colors. This is all one color and tints of that one color.